Hi, my name is Moshe Benovitz, and thanks for watching the NCSY Alumni YouTube channel. It is an unbelievable privilege and honor to be participating and learning Torah with you through this very, very special medium on the YouTube channel. We know there are tremendous advantages, of course, of the traditional type of learning that takes place at Shabbatons and conventions, sitting together with an advisor or a Rabbi face-to-face, in person. That's a great way to learn, no doubt. But there are certain advantages about learning in this style and model as well. When we're able to get together over the internet, we know that we believe and that we hope that at the highest level, the learning that we do in NCSY, the learning that we do whenever we learn Torah, is able to transcend time and place, to connect us through the generations and across the globe. And of course, that's what happens in a very real way when we learn in this medium, via the internet, via YouTube. It's a very, very special opportunity and something I'm thrilled to be a part of. One of the challenges, of course, is that you never know exactly who is listening and the nature of your audience. So let's start with the very, very basics. Let's start with a math question. How much is 1 plus 1? I'd imagine that not many of you pressed pause and ran to Google to find out the answer. 1 plus 1 is as simple as it comes. 1 plus 1, of course, equals 2, but not always. 1 plus 1 sometimes gives some very different answers. There are the trick questions and riddles that tell you that 1 plus 1 equals 11, if you put the two digits together, of course. Similar to the question of how can you take 11, get rid of 2, and end up with something even? Well, if you take the word 11, take away the E and the L, what you're left with is even. These are riddles and jokes and not particularly helpful in figuring out anything, neither in math nor in Torah. But there is a much, much deeper manner in which 1 plus 1 does not always equal 2. We have the extraordinary privilege this weekend, in a somewhat rare occurrence, to read in the Torah a section that deals with a particular commandment and mitzvah that we are actually in the middle of practicing. One of the many items that is discussed in Parshat Emor is the commandment that in the time period between Pesach and Shavuos, we have a particular mitzvah, a special mitzvah, to count each day. The reason for this count is not entirely clear, certainly not from the words of Torah itself. We count to make a connection between Pesach and Shavuos. We count to show our excitement for that which is represented in the holiday of Shavuos, the receiving of the Torah, how excited we are and how we count each day as we get closer to that incredible, incredible event. We count each day. In the Talmud, there is a discussion about what is to be the exact nature of that counting. If today is the 26th day of the Omer, how am I to refer to that 26th day? What is the nature of the counting? And it emerges from this discussion, and it is our practice today, to count using the following formula. We count by saying today is the 26th day of the Omer, which is 3 weeks and 5 days. Well, here we go to some very, very simple math yet again. Why is it necessary to articulate, to express the fact that 26 goes into 3 weeks and 5 days? That there's a remainder of 5 after the 3 weeks. This is a math problem that seems to be not necessary at all. Imagine little Billy receiving instructions from his mom to go to the local supermarket and to purchase some eggs. He goes to the supermarket, he picks up 23 eggs. He tells his mother, "Mom, I picked up 23 eggs, 2 dozen plus 1. Besides being confused about why Billy arrived at that particular number, there's no doubt the mom would wonder, why do you have to count in this way? And yet, that is our commandment as derived from the words of the Torah itself. Why count the weeks and the days? Why do that math when it's so obvious and apparent without it? There's a beautiful explanation that is provided that will help us both with our original math problem and provide us with an incredible insight into the specific challenges that we have during this time period on the calendar. The mitzvah of Sfiras HaOmer, counting this time, is not merely limited to connecting Pesach and Shavuos or alluding to our countdown to the giving of the Torah. Like many of our holidays, it has its origins in the agricultural cycle in the land of Israel. In fact, and significantly for our discussion, the Omer was a measure of wheat. The word Omer in Hebrew specifically refers to a bundle of grain, stalks of grain taken together. And this sounds not coincidentally like the relationship between weeks and days, days bundled together into weeks. As we progress and proceed and collect positive acts, there are 2 ways to do it. We can live a life of random positive acts, We can live a life whenever we are so motivated and whenever we are so inspired, we do good things to help ourselves, to help our families, our communities in the world. Or we can begin to engage in the process of bundling. We can begin to make patterns. We can begin to develop a lifestyle. We can take random acts of goodness and begin putting them together. No, 25 days is not 25 days. 25 days is 3 weeks worth of bundles of days and a remainder yet to be bundled as we move forward. It is a fundamentally different way of looking at the positive and good things that we do. 1 plus 1, when it comes to our character, when it comes to building ourselves, does not always equal 2. When the acts are random, then our ones are singular. They remain singular, and at most, when put together, they can equal 2. But when 1 plus 1 is a bundle, when 1 plus 1 is a day that has become a week, a lonely stalk of wheat that is now an entire sheaf of wheat, that is now an entire bundle of wheat, ready and more impactful than ever before on its own, you have a math problem which is so much greater, a math solution that moves beyond the 1 plus 1 that equals 2. This is the challenge of Sfiras HaOmer. Thanks very much for listening, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a great Shabbos.